What's up? Welcome to Absa Football Fridays, proudly powered by Soccerbeat. My name is Umjaga. I'm hanging out with the most expensive Cheezboy Mokoena. So Nikumpago for the weekend. That's what Absa Football Fridays is all about. Sifuna niye kubantu benu. Nibatshele ukuthi bafethu ngiphathele indaba ezishisayo. Proudly bengimamele uCheez nomjaga. Yeah? But we need you to do one thing, Soccerbeat family. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button to let us know you like the video, you like this conversation. Also, please share with your friends. Tell them you are missing out because Fridays, Tina Slana Nomjaga no Cheez. Ogranjani Cheezy.
Danko. Well said, mngana. Bayazi what they must do. Ufala ama-laptop, mthathe numphago. That's what it is.
Thank you, Cheezy. I'm going to be discussing Soccerbeat family. Stick around. I've got latest on Pirates' CAF Champions League hopes. Cheez will be smiling about that one because Pirates are pushing. The story just keeps on going. So Cheez, I'm a back doors. You're a specialist with back doors. Cheez will let us know what he thinks about that one. Appollis, Umbiza Poli, joining Pirates, but there were other teams that were interested. He chose Pirates. I want to hear from Cheez what he thinks about that. Chiefs were interested. Cheez. Esperance were in the mix. So there was a lot going on there. Cheez will also be giving us his Bafana Bafana versus Zambia prediction. Angazi Cheez is about how many goals are to be scored on that one. And of course, the big one, Cheez will be sharing an untold story. On this one, Buffett, I usually smile when they talk about this untold story. But on this one, I'm going to be a little bit serious. You know, Cheez is gonna bring his best motivation out of this one. Buffett, you don't want to miss it. It's a Kugumisa somewhere, I'm sure. This one is an emotional one. Stick around. Cheezy, Pirates, CAF Champions League. According to Sokala Duma, there's still a feeling that Pirates and the Limpopo CAF case is not done. It hasn't gone away. It was previously said that Limpopo coach was under scrutiny for the appearance he made on the bench, Cheezy. When it was thought that he was suspended, but that was also because of national duty, right? But a source was telling Sokala Duma that the case has more to do with the player, with players who were possibly registered for the Champions League after deadline. So it's not about the coach, Cheezy. It's about players that were possibly registered after deadline. Cheez, this story just won't go away. There's a draw, Cheezy. There's already a draw. That means there must be something in there. Organjan.
No, Mchara, I think it's a glimpse of hope for Amaparania because I mean an early exit was not expected, but it happened, you know. But I'll make an example of what happened at my time at Sundowns where we snuck in via the back door, you know, we were ready to go for off season. How we in the bus, you know, we parading the trophy of the league, and all of a sudden there's this huge announcement. I think Coach Peter get a call in the past, and then he says, guys, stop. I think your holidays are going to be cut short. There's an admin problem with a certain team that we played. I think it was Chicken In. So officially we are back in the Champions League. So a glimpse of hope for Orlando Pirates, and I just hope that it is the case. And I know some of these African teams, you know, with the administration, sometimes, you know, they like to tweak things and you know, and do things via the back door. Same as what happened when Sundowns got back into the Champions League. So it's great news, you know. We're not yet there, but I think with the big squad that Pirates has, I think this will be a perfect opportunity for them to get back into the Champions League. I think what's gonna happen in the Champions League without Orlando Pirates, man, you know. So I hope it happens, that the team makes it. It must happen, Mchara, because I got a big pool of players that were geared up for this Champions League, you know. So my guys, wherever you are, please be on alert. Anything, a call can come in anytime, and then you're back in it.
Is Operation Tata Zonge then still on? Because Operation Tata Zonge was a domestic thing. After being kicked out of the Champions League, né? You started calling for Operation Fat Alice domestically. Is it Operation Fat Alice then if Pirates back in, including the Champions League?
It has to be, Mchara, but of course with no pressure to the team, you know. I think maybe the mindset had shifted after the exit to say, okay, let's focus domestically and see what we can take. Right now there's one cup in the bag, already in the final of the Carling knockout. There's still another domestic cup coming up and the league. So it's looking good. It's looking good for Pirates. As much as we're still waiting to enter through the back door, I think that would be a plus as well, and a great motivation for the team and for the fans, Mchara. So yeah, the team is still en route to that. And even if they don't get out of the five, I think a treble is possible for Orlando Pirates this season.
Aye. Oh, cheesy. Oswin Appollis joined Pirates over Chiefs. Cheese. Apollis' agent, Lance Davis, says multiple were interested in signing Apollis before joining Pirates. Chiefs, Sundowns, Esperance, all held interest, Cheesy. He was speaking on Behind the Boot, and he said, I need to read this Soccerbeat family because I don't want to misquote or, say it in the wrong way. Chiefs tried, and again, we are not involved in these things. Club to club, we don't get involved. That's between the clubs. So if I speak to you and you are club A and I'm club B, if you don't want to sell to me, then there's nothing I can do as an agent. That's Lance David. There's nothing he can do when there's negotiation between club and club. He can't influence that. Sundowns were also interested. Esperance were also interested. There are many deals around the world that were hijacked. Well done to Orlando Pirates. That's what Lance David said on Behind the Boot. Cheez, did you believe that with the choice that Appollis made to join Pirates, with all these options, did you believe he'd have this kind of impact in the team? Because Pirates were solid as they were.
I called it, Mchara. I called it even before, even when these rumors were out there about Esperance, Chiefs, Sundowns. But I felt like because of the type of player that he is, as dynamic as he is, I felt like he would fit in perfectly at Orlando Pirates. And you remember, Mchara, I've been calling it and be saying, hey, technical team, Orlando Pirates, here's this guy. Make sure this guy lands at Orlando. And look what he has done since he's arrived in fit. I mean, you can tell that, he fitted in just like a glove. Of course, in the beginning, first two games, was really playing out wide, was not really expressing himself. But it happens, as a player when you get to a new club, But a great signing from Orlando Pirates in fit. I think I was the happiest out of them all. The Poli has landed, And you can tell in a performance, week in, week out. He delivers. And he plays any position. He can be on the left as a 10, on the right, and I think he's brought something out of that Orlando Pirates team, So he's also become a key figure of the team. And I'm sorry to those clubs, Unfortunately, players like Appollis, they were born like this. Sometimes when you are born like this, it happens in that automatically club A and B and C and D, you put them aside and say, okay, this is the team I grew up supporting, and this is the team that's also really trying to challenge for league honors, a team that's also wanting to be part of the CAF Champions League. I mean, for one, if he had made a choice to go to Kaizer Chiefs, Chiefs was really struggling at that time. So probably in his mind, I'm going to be there and I'm going to be the player that has to make things happen for Chiefs. And now talking about Sundowns, I mean, every player wants to play at Sundowns, and the type of football that Sundowns plays is more patient. You see a player like Maseko, who's a left winger. All the speedy guys at Sundowns don't really play as much. You got mostly technical players that like to keep the ball, stuff like that. So I think a great move for Polipol in fit. You can tell with the hair, with the boy is on fire. Has always been on fire. Namanju Sashi is unfit. And one thing that I called was that, I mean, he was already part of the Bafana Bafana squad and was doing really, really well. And I just knew that, if Pirates can get a hold of him, I think he is going to be a surplus for Orlando Pirates. And he's doing exactly that, Tim Chara. Remember, Pirates had lost Saleng. So I was already thinking at the back of my mind, which winger is there to replace a player like Saleh? And Appollis came along, and abantu bakhohliwe manje, bakhohliwe ngoSaleng. They are focusing on Goremi, focusing on Appollis. And it's the nature of football. It's the nature of playing for a big club like Orlando Pirates. If you don't grab an opportunity, somebody's going to come in and fill in those shoes. And they've done exactly that, those boys. So we are no longer looking back, Mchara. Me, I'm happy for Poli. Duncan Tonami, keep the fire burning, boy. Keep it burning.
Do you feel justified, Cheesy, because you've been calling for this one? Do you feel justified? Do you need people to call you and say thank you, Cheese?
I'm happy. I think Polly will do the right thing. I think one day when we meet, he'll probably do the right thing and say, Grootman, thank you so much. I think I heard your advice and I think I made the right choice by joining Orlando Pirates. I think me and Munipu are really saying we need Apollos to come to Orlando Pirates. And it happened, and big ups to the club. It just shows how big Soccerbeat is, and it just shows that, we have people that sometimes listen to our opinions. Obviously we're not directing teams and players to do moves and whatnot. But as former players, we look at the situation and look at the type of player that is there, whether he can fit at the club. And if it's like that, Mchara, the clubs looked at the stats and they're like, okay, Bafana International number one, he has a lot of assists, he scores goals. So a great signing and big up to the club for that.
He's one of the best players in the country, but is he, in your opinion, or is he the best one in the country, Cheesy?
Currently with the players in the league, I think Apollos has really been on fire. I think he's performing week in, week out. I think maybe 1 out of 2 games there's an assist there, there's a goal there. And he's causing havoc. And it looks like now the coach is also trying to give him that bit of a free role where he comes in into that 10, drifts into the midfield. You can see the boy is enjoying himself. So for me, currently, I think he's one of the top players currently in the league that's really performing. And if he keeps it this way, I think he's in line to become maybe a player of the season if he continues. I know it's still early, but if he's injury free and continues performing the way he is, I'm sure he will be up there.
Bazodlala neZambia ke. They're gonna play against Zambia on Saturday. Kuzoshkisa Cheesy. I'm sure Bruce is even scratching his head who his starting 11 is going to be. Because he needs to give some guys a chance. Because AFCON is coming. He needs to give some guys a chance to have a look. If whether he's gonna include them in the other squad. There are some guys like maybe Appollis and Ronwen who are almost guaranteed to go through. Onkai prediction da. What's your prediction for Bafana versus Zambia?
Well, prediction, I'd call it a 3-0 because I mean, the boys have been on fire, man. I think the national team, guys, has just taken it to another level. And also, it will be great to see the coach give other players an opportunity, just give them a chance in terms of, like you said, have a look at the guys that he might put into the core. Obviously, the coach has got his core. We cannot mention those players. I'm sure everybody knows who are the core of the national team. And also just to include the likes of, giving him that run, giving him that run again, Rele just came back as well, things like that. He's also trying to find himself. You have a player like Keleto Makhala who have also been saying, what, he's been performing since last season. I mean, a player that gives an assist every game. I think he really deserves this opportunity. So I can't wait to see the new faces get that opportunity. And also, it's a chance for them to show the coach that, hey, by the time you want to choose your team to go into the AFCON and the World Cup, my name has to be there, So yeah, I'm just interested in seeing my boy Keleto because I was with him at Sundowns, when he got promoted at Swallows, and I know he went through difficult times, and he revived himself when he got to Skukuni. And he's the star player there, and people have been calling for him and like, can't we give this guy an opportunity? And he's also as dynamic as Appollis. If you can check how Keleto plays, they're almost similar players in terms of getting at the defenders, turning defenders, So yeah, it will be really interesting to see how the coach will put his team out there.
And it's time for the Untold story, where Cheez shares memories, from his playing career, stories that he knows that he was part of, some stories that he heard, that he shares with us. It's proudly brought to you by Absa, of course. Cheezy, this one is about a difficult moment. I'd like to know specifically on this one, Cheezy. What was the most difficult moment in your career, and how did you get over it as well? Cheez, is the other part I'd like to know.
Mjara, this is an untold story. So, might get me a little bit emotional, but I think every player goes through that. Number one, I had a bad hip injury in 2012 under Coach Nieskins. I was out for the rest of the season. The team was not doing well. I don't know if people can recall when Sundowns was struggling, sitting at number 12, number 13. I'm sitting at home, can't even help the team, I go for the op. I get back. trying to do my rehab. The doctor comes to me. He tells me, unfortunately, I think you are no longer going to be able to play football, And, I dropped my head down. I was like, is this time, And I came back home, and the sense of belief that I can heal. I always had that in my mind that I will be able to heal. Yes, the doctor says I cannot play football anymore, but I'm going to work really hard and make sure that I get back, Mchara. And then I get a call from Coach Pito in the beginning of the season when he joined the club, and he asked me how was I doing, and I said, Coach, I was told I can't play football anymore, but I'm feeling a little bit better than what I was. So I am going to try and get back into the team, and that's what exactly happened, Mchara. And when they talk about miracles, I think this was just one of those miracles where God and my ancestors pulled through for me, And then that's when I went on from 2012, getting back from my hip injury, helped the team to win the first league title at Sundowns with Coach Pito, And also Coach Pito had belief in me that I can really get back. And I did exactly that, Mchara, So that just shows the amount of miracle that God had put in upon me. So yeah, it was a really difficult moment because I was not sure, Mjara, whether the cheese is gone or the cheese is back in the fridge. So I was back in the fridge, being ready to be toasted.
Cheez. Sharp
Yeah,
Jaya.
no,
Bye-bye,
that's tough.
Soccerbeat family.
That's tough, Mjara.
Yeah, that's it.
Tough.
Thank you for joining us again, Absa Football Fridays. Awusikhayo umnyumphako manje Cheez. Hayi.
Yeah.
Hayi. Siyabonga Jayani. Thank you, Soccerbeat family.
Abazi.
This is Soccerbeat.
Abazi, Mjara.